Okay, thanks for joining me today, folks. What we have here is a front beef shoulder, and I'm going to be breaking it down. It has aged, hung dry. Um, so first off, we want to do all the trimming. So like you see, I trimmed a few pieces off here, but all the surface stuff is going to be trimmed off. And this shank here is going to be separate, and I'll probably cut that in a section or two, probably two sections, to cook it as a separate shank itself. And then the rest of the shoulder meat, it'll be broken down into its muscle groups. So you'll see if you follow along. I don't know if I'll get all this out in one video, but basically, once I trim it all off, then I'll start separating out the muscle groups in it, so that way I can individually cut up those different muscle groups. It's either going to be for hamburger meat, or it's going to be for steaks out of it, or whatever that will make out of the shoulder group. So as we get started, basically my trimmings, I'm just, use some container that you can put your trimmings in. What I do with the trimmings is I'll just this fat trimming. You don't want to mix this fat trimming in with your hamburger meat. It's quite possibly could be contaminated, and it's just not a good thing to do. People used to do it, and I think the FDA has come out and recommended against it. So I think butchers now don't do it. If you've got some trimming like this, because it's hung dry, you'll get these dry pieces like this that still have quite a bit of meat still on it. So I'll put those separately. I can grind that up in the dog food. It's pretty dry. It's almost like jerky. And the dogs just love it, even not cooked at all, just like that. So as you can see, all this fat right here, it has a little bit of meat in it. I might trim some of that meat off for the dogs, but primarily for the fat. That'll go on the rendering pile. And with the fat, there's many uses for it. People, everything from cosmetics, lip balm. You can actually even make candles out of it. And once you sterilize it, by rendering it down, I mean it cooks hot on the stove. I have a wood stove. I just stick it in the hot on the wood stove and cook it down with that. And after a while, several hours on the stove cooking down, you just pour it off into whatever you're going to keep it in. I just pour it off into like mason jars, those canning jars. So this is kind of just a little tedious work, is trimming all this stuff off. I don't know if I'll keep the camera going this whole time while I'm trimming it off. Might be kind of boring for you, but that's the first step, is that you want to go through and trim all the surface stuff off. And you're going to get meat with it. Like I said, if you have a dog, I'll tell you, they just love it. And the fat, I wouldn't throw it away. It's pretty good stuff. Like I said, you can use it to make candles out of, lip balm, whatever. So, folks, how about if I do this as a series of videos, so that way I can make it as informative and not waste your time, because this is just, you know, a little time consuming. So I think I'll go ahead and stop it here, and then maybe just upload this video and as a video 1. You know, it'll save me having to go through and edit it, because I really don't have any editing equipment. I downloaded a program that my buddy's daughter turned me on to, this CapCut, so I can do it on my phone. I tried several others and it was just so frustrating. Like you'd get your video edited and it takes so long, and you finally get it done, and then it would tell you, oh, you got to pay for the full version. Or I get it edited and then it tells you that your phone doesn't have enough memory storage, and it was just one thing after another. But that CapCut one, it's a free download and it seems pretty simple. It was off the iTunes store. This camera phone I'm videoing this with, it's a Huawei. So I'm either using a Huawei Mate 20 or an iPhone 11. And with the Huawei, I don't have a program on it to do any editing with, so unfortunately that one tends to be just straight edited, or not unedited, but just uploaded from the phone. Eventually that's something I need to spend more time with, learning how to do some editing and make better quality videos for you folks. Right now, I'm just trying to build up a following of subscribers and seeing what kind of content people like. I'm into a lot of different stuff myself. I'm retired, so I retired early. And one of the things that I do is, as a hobby farmer, I raise cows. And my wife, she raises chickens and ducks. So we tend to do that, and we also do gardening as well. This last year, though, I was kind of unsuccessful. My wife, of our garden didn't really produce a whole lot, and it's kind of what you put into it. So we didn't put a whole lot of effort into our garden this last year. Previous year we did really good. We got pretty good success in the garden. But this last year it was kind of more of just a weed patch, and didn't really have a whole lot going on in the garden. Kind of one of the reasons was I wasn't home a whole lot on that farm to work. I was working here at this farm that I'm at today and doing some things to it. So kind of being divided in multiple places tends to be a little bit tough on running a garden. Animals, not so much demanding as a garden, that you got to be there and water it and tend to it and stuff. Seems like it would be the other way around, but actually raising the beef, it's quite a bit of work. Yeah, I mean, it is what you make of it. Like, you can tend to automate your water and feeding of that and stuff like that, so you can leave for a few days, go somewhere else, and come back. there is some mishaps, you know, like sometimes the cows will bust through the fence or something, and you get neighbors calling you and telling your cows are out on the road, and that's always frustrating, but goes with the territory. Like as you can see, I don't know if you can see it in the camera or not. See the cows across the pasture over there. You know, they'll get out on the road, and they're just you know, terrible on fences. Cows like to push on the fence, and of course they always think the grass on the other side of that fence is greener, so they're gonna do what they can to get out on the main road and see if they can find greener pasture elsewhere. So that's one thing. It's a constant maintenance is your fence lines with cows. Other than that, they're pretty easy to care for. Not a whole lot. Put out hay for them. If you got the pasture, the property to graze them, then it's, you know, takes a big burden off. So anyways, I was saying I wasn't going to keep you guys too long on trimming off this fat. It's quite a bit of work. And this fat, so like say if you wanted to separate your fat, once you get down a layer, so you get that top layer off, and I'm trimming into this stuff here, this fat's a little softer, and you might want to save that for making your hamburger meat. So I might just put some of this here to the side for hamburger meat fat. Because your hamburger meat, when you make that, you want about 20% fat in your hamburger meat. And it just helps kind of glue your hamburger together. Because if you, I don't know, you know, most you folks know that, you ever get some really, really lean ground meat, like 90% lean ground, and you go try to make hamburgers with it, and they just don't stick together too well. They just kind of fall apart. Where if you got a nice, you know, fatty hamburger meat, you know, everybody's trying to cut out all the fat, you know, and not consume fat for the health reasons of it. But actually, it's not as bad as most people think. So you can see as I'm getting down like this meat here, it's nice pink meat, and even though it's been hanging for quite a while, and you smell it, it smells good. So what it does when you hang meat, it turns those enzymes that are inside the meat to start breaking down the meat. So like when this cow was just butchered, we cut some of it off, stuck it on the grill. Even though this was a young cow, it was only 13 months old, it was pretty chewy. But when you hang it, then, and it breaks that down and makes the meat very tender and just gives it a whole different flavor as well. And not by any means, you know, when I say a whole different flavor, it's not that it's like, you know, rotten meat. Not at all. It's very good. It's just when you eat the meat, you don't want to sit there and keep chewing on it for 15 minutes on the same hunk of meat, unless you're eating jerky or something. But it's not bad. Very good. In fact, I think when I shut the camera off, I might just cut a little chunk off and fix it up. It's getting about lunchtime for me. So I think I'll take a break and then come back, and when I start breaking down the shoulder and separate the muscle groups, I'll come in at number 2 video on it. All right, thanks for watching. Take care.